Hi, I'm Tom Henriksen from the DevOps Online Summit, and today I am joined by Tiffany Jachja, an engineering manager at Vox Media. Now, Tiffany, introduce yourself to the people here at the DevOps Online Summit.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. My name is Tiffany, and I help teams deliver better software. And I do it through holding different spaces, sharing what I know, and also inspiring other technologists and people who want to do the same to do the same. And I'm so excited to be here with you all today. Love to share some of my insights and learnings along the way, being an engineering manager, but also a DevOps practitioner and someone who's been in the space for quite some time.
Yes, Tiffany, you have been in this space and you do a lot of things. I really tip my hat to you because as we were talking before, you're in Women in DevOps. You are involved in this report. You're involved with the CDF Foundation. I always want to say, how do you do all this, Tiffany? Because I see you on Twitter too. You're very busy. So.
Oh man. Yeah, sometimes I just feel like I'm bouncing from one thing to the next, but it really does feel good. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, are you in alignment with the things that you're spending your time on, and does it feel good? Does it feel like it's something that that feeds your soul as well?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, like, it just feels good to be able to be with like-minded individuals, see people who are like me in different ways, right? And still be able to connect and relate to people.
Mm-hmm.
So, that kind of helps drive me to continuously kind of reach out when I normally could just, do my 9 to 5 and turn around and, just spend my time playing video games or hiding in a corner, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it's great to be with like-minded people and people who enjoy things like DevOps. But today, you want to talk to us about, and you've been involved with the State of DevOps report. So to kind of, I think most people know about this, but just to kind of level set, I think it's always good to kind of share what is the State of DevOps report and kind of share too, as we were talking a little bit before, how did you get involved in this?
Yeah. So the State of DevOps report is an annual report that's managed and basically surveys a bunch of technologists and individuals in our space today. And it's traditionally been worked on by Puppet, a company called Puppet, who manages a lot of automation technologies. And I think for a little while, Google was involved with it as well through Dora DevOps research group. And so basically it's an annual report that shares sort of where we're at with DevOps today and what does it really mean in terms of what does it actually mean across industries, right? So how are teams delivering today? What is the setup of teams? What do people know today? What are the current challenges? And this State of DevOps report this year for 2021 is our actual 10th annual anniversary.
Yeah.
And so in honor of the 10th anniversary, Puppet wanted to bring a lot of individuals to provide commentary and more dimensions to the report. And so there was actually an opportunity to get involved through Women in DevOps group. Shout out to Sabrina and all the folks that are helping to run that group. But that was how I got involved. Was they were looking for people to add additional commentary to the report, and I provided that and got to speak on behalf of the Continuous Delivery Foundation as well.
Cool. Well, that's cool that you got involved in that and were able to give kind of some insight. So tell us, as you kind of put this together, how is this report kind of brought together? How's it made?
Yeah, so a good mix of it was survey results. So being able to explain like, how is the state of delivery today? What are the different metrics that we're using to measure that? And then another component that was introduced just newly this year, it was around team topologies. So we all know that the DevOps ecosystem and SRE ecosystem is changing quite a bit, right? Everybody's at this point where we understand that DevOps is important to some degree, right? Whether it's through automation, through specific technologies, through specific hires, but we haven't necessarily as an industry come into this methodical approach for setting up teams. And again, like, how you set up your team is dependent on so many different factors, right? What are you trying to build? How many other people are on the team? How many different projects do you have? What tool stacks are you using? What are your values? And there's so many components to it that for the State of DevOps report, we wanted to bring in to consideration team topologies. And so there's actually a book that was written that was solely dedicated to talking about different team topologies. And so quite a bit of the report this year has some insights into that. So I really recommend anyone who's still trying to figure out, well, how do I integrate SRE folks, or how do I integrate more of these DevOps practices into my teams and into my processes. That's a really great way for you to start and kind of see where other people are at with their topologies and where you can go in the future.
Yeah. That book you're talking about, Team Topologies, I think has been so impactful in the DevOps space and really in the IT space as a whole, because I think it kind of brought some good questions. And I know their research from Manuel and Matthew is really good stuff. And I see them sharing a lot of good stuff. I think it's very good stuff.
Yeah.
So as you put this together, I'm guessing you work on something like this, there were probably a few surprises that were found as you kind of work through this and saw this research.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember just kind of scrolling through the initial drafts of the report and seeing like a whole huge section around, and it's in there. What is DevOps? Mm-hmm. And do we all understand what DevOps means? And for me, it was kind of a surprise, that like 10 years in and we still don't have a general consensus of what it actually means. And it means different things to different people. And so that was one of the biggest surprises for me, is just like, everyone kind of has their own definitions for what DevOps looks like to them. But, at the end of the day, that's fine, as long as you can communicate that to your teams and really understand, like, at the end of the day, we're really just trying to get our software to be appreciated and valuable, and not this piece of code that we write and that no one else understands or never appreciates it or gets to see it. So I think that's one of the things that I always just try to keep in mind whenever I talk to anyone about DevOps, is like, at the end of the day, we really just want to deliver code continuously and have it be impactful, right?
Yeah. That's the thing I think is funny. I know at various times I've asked that question, what is your definition of DevOps? And it's so surprising the different responses you get, and that to like, kind of like you mentioned, Tiffany, it's kind of like there's some misunderstandings. A lot of people think, oh, it's just certain tools or something like that, but there's a lot to it, isn't there?
Definitely. And, it's like, you have to look at it from different perspectives as well. It's like, it's not only your processes, it's not only your people, there's a technology component to it as well. And, like, I think one of the commentaries was just around like, how do you deal with processes that are old or not working for you? And the reality of it is, like, no matter what we do with our processes, at the end of the day, they're supposed to serve our people. Right. Yeah. They're supposed to help us achieve a certain level of quality, efficiency, when like it's just super hard to do that when there's so many, aspects to delivering software. And that's what our processes are about. If they don't work for us, we have to know ahead of time that they will change, and that when they're not working for us, that sometimes, we actually have to manage that process as well. You can't just leave it alone. And that's what tends to happen sometimes with security loopholes, is like, oh, we have this pipeline, but, does it actually, like, is it still modern today? Does it still work for our cloud deployments, our container deployments? Does that still make sense, And I think it's just embracing the fact that, like, all of these components that are related to DevOps are subject to change.
Yeah, it changes fast, doesn't it? So I guess, when we have something like this, Tiffany, what would you recommend for how some DevOps professionals would use like something like the State of DevOps report?
Yeah, definitely use it to understand the current landscape of the industry today. Kind of assess where you are in comparison to others as well, especially if for, DevOps professionals or even leaders who are not very familiar with the DevOps ecosystem, you can really use this report to understand, like, what are other people using? How has it changed? And begin to make that case in your organization. Like, begin to introduce certain changes to processes that no longer serve you. Begin to figure out, well, what are some practices that I can use to even identify those specific gaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest, really use this report as a benchmark, right?
Yeah.
Um, there's so much to learn in this space, and there's so many, and everyone will give you their opinion as well. So that's another thing, is just like find 2 or 3 individuals that in the space that are leaders, that are contributing really great things that you align with, and just, take it and run with it. Because, you always see this kind of push and pull between different types of advice and what works and what doesn't. But at the end of the day, like, you have to decide, and you have to make a decision about what kinds of actions you want to take and what kind of progress you want to make in your organization.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because we need to kind of see where we're at and see, what things we can work on. So very good stuff, Tiffany. Any closing thoughts, Tiffany?
Yeah. I guess just the closing thought around DevOps and the state of things changing is just that it's less about it's less about coming in and having all the right ideas, and it's more about getting it right with your team. So,
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like it's all on one person to make all the decisions, or that if you're the person who's making the decisions, that you have to get all of this right away. We like to say in the community that's continuous improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely don't forget about that. And best of luck to everybody out there who's looking to improve their DevOps processes.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everyone.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On behalf of Tiffany, I am Tom Henriksen for the DevOps Online Summit.